Greetings, it's Ian from RTO. A week later than what we should have done, but hello, chaps.
Good evening, everybody.
How we doing?
I'm drugged up to the eyeballs, but there we go. We're moving a lot better. Anyway, we've done the 2000s, we've done the 80s and the 90s. We're going to have a look at 50s and 60s. Songs that we think that should have been number one in them decades. I've got 6 bubbling unders today.
And so have I.
And so have I.
Ooh, 666 and all that.
Mm.
Nice round numbers as well. As usual, we're going to start with Richard Simon and myself, and let's see what we get this time. So it's over to you, Richard.
Okay, but before I start, I think that I don't know how you guys think, but I think my number one will be got by Simon as well. Maybe not as number one, but I think it'll be in there. So my number 10 is from 1963, and it's the number 3 hit, and it's by Roy Orbison, and it's Blue Bayou, which is one of his best ever songs. It was a big hit in America, I think, for Linda Ronstadt. Andrea Corr has covered it, and it's just one of those beautiful songs with that gorgeous voice of his. And I think it might have actually been a double A side with Mean Woman Blues, but for me, Blue Bayou is the track, and that's my number 10.
Great track. I like that. I like Linda's version as well. So
My number 10 is a late 60s number, Everybody's Talking by Harry Nilsson.
Oh, that's a very good song.
Featured in the movie Midnight Cowboy, isn't it?
Yeah. Excellent track. His voice in that is really good, especially when it goes really, really high. That's one of his best ever songs.
Yes.
And do you remember the Beautiful South version from about 1993?
I remember.
Yeah, that was a good version.
Yeah,
I just like the guitar work in that song. It's quite twee, isn't it? Nice and good.
Yeah, very twee.
Okay, my number 10 goes back way back, 1958. It only got to number 12, and it's a song by the Olympics called Western Movies. The reason I loved that as a kid because it's got gunshots and cowboys and my dad had it on his master's voice, the Blue Label.
All right. I don't know it, to be honest with you. Are you aware of it, Simon? No?
No, don't know it, no.
Oh, he's a pair of you. Whoa.
So, you've got a double whammy there, Ian.
58, eh?
Yeah.
1958, yeah.
Right.
Well, my number 9 is often regarded as one of the first psychedelic singles. Now, I think the first one was actually Donovan Sunshine Superman, but it's not it. It's The Byrds' 8 Miles High, which got to only number 24 in 1966. And I think it's brilliant. The guitar work is absolutely fantastic. It's from their Fifth Dimension album, I believe, yeah. And it was the last song that Gene Clark had a hand in writing, I believe, because he didn't feature in the album, but the song obviously was on the album. But it is regarded as the first psychedelic song, or one of the first, and I just think it's my number 9.
Yeah, it's a great song. It always seems to be appears in any Vietnam films, doesn't it? And
yeah, well, that's true.
There's always going to have 8 Miles High. It's a great song.
Yeah, fantastic.
Great song. Right. My number 9 then is Raining in My Heart by Buddy Holly.
Oh, that's a beautiful song. So
love that song.
It's a great
that
song.
was a really beautiful song.
I don't think it was released as a single. I might be mistaken, but
It must have been, or you wouldn't be allowed to have it.
I think it was a single.
I think it was
yeah, it could
a
have
very
been.
famous song, no matter what. Like, it's on every one of his sort of greatest hit compilation albums. Beautiful song. Yeah,
I do like that song. I like the Plinky Plonky. So I like that Plinky Plonky sound.
Blinky Plonky.
I like it when you say Plinky Plonky because you say it quite a bit It's one of those plinky plunky songs.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's my favourite saying, blinky blonky. Okay. My number 9, I'm still staying with the 50s. But this one's from 1959. It got to number 7 in the charts, but it was a number 1 in the US. And it is Stagger Lee by Lloyd Price.
Oh, yeah, I know Stagger Lee.
I know that one as well.
Yes. Part of the rock and roll era, I suppose, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's a cross between a bit of a rock and roll and a doo-woppy.
Yeah, there's a bit.
Didn't the Clash take a bit of that for the Wrong and Boyle song on London Calling, or is that a different Stagger Lee? Is it Stagger Lee met Billy? Is that it? No.
No, I don't know. I don't know about the Stagger Lee. I mean, my dad had that, so it's just, you know, it's going back into that mum and dad's collection these are.
Well, it's my turn on it. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
My number 8 is number 2 hit from 1964. It's Downtown by Petula Clark, which is her best song by a mile, and it is absolutely brilliant. It does have a little bit of a Phil Spector feel to it, but not as heavy on the Phil Spector type production, but it's absolutely brilliant. And she had another hit with a remix of it in 1988, which I actually bought at the time. Listening to the remix now is nothing compared to the original. The original is absolutely fantastic. Oh, that's my number 8.
Yeah, great track.
Yes, good song. I have a Petula Clark number in my lists.
Oh, good.
Right, now my number 8 is a song by Mamas and Papas, and that's California Dreaming.
Oh, that's my favourite song by Mamas and Papas.
It's solid, isn't it?
It's a good song. Beach Boys did it as well.
They did. They covered it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They did. But
Yeah,
not as good as the original.
Yeah, Shell.
They're a band I don't really know that much about. You know, I know the Monday, California Dreaming, and a couple others, but you know, they've had a bit of a catalogue which I really don't know anything about, so I must explore them a little bit. I do have a vinyl album of theirs, like it's a greatest hits of Music for Pleasure, but it is scratched. That's all, but really you can hardly play it. So I must look out for something from the Mamas and Papas, maybe a CD.
Yeah, probably best way of going about it. I think there's only like 3 or 4 stand-up tracks from their catalogue. Don't know.
That's a great song from them. So, okay, my number 8, I'm still in the 50s. I haven't moved. I'm going to 1956. This got to number 2. And why was it not number 1? It's Elvis Presley's Heartbreak Hotel.
Yeah, well, that's true. What kept that off, do you know?
No, I don't. Because probably something like Mantovani and his
yeah. No, it's iconic, isn't it? Really, that's the real true birth of gritty rock and roll.
Yeah, brilliant song.
Well, my number 7. See, I haven't written 1 to 10 in this, so I'll have to count here. My number 7 got to number 60 in 2013. But it failed to chart when it was first released in 1967. And it's from Belfast Boy, and it's Brown Eyed Girl by Van Morrison, which I think did quite well in the States, but here for some reason it did not chart at all. And I think the guitar work of it was brilliant. I know some of the lyrics, Making Love in the Green Grass, I think now that's regarded as, oh, that's terrible, and has been banned in certain radio stations because of it. But I just think it's a fantastic little song, and you know, it's more famous than now than it ever was then. So Brown Eyed Girl is my number 7.
Well, I had that on a compilation back in 80 something.
Yeah,
and you ask people that, you know, and it's one of his most popular songs. You just don't understand why it didn't get in the charts. But I'm getting it eventually.
How did it not get in the charts? Let alone should have got to number 1, shouldn't it? I mean,
exactly. It's, you know, you all know it and never charted.
I mean, you just would assume that would have been number 1, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
You didn't know any better.
exactly. And another one like that as well, but we'll come to
Anyway, my number 7, I think, is probably one of the best, if not the best, love song ever written. And it's Love Is All Around by the Trogs. Of course, got covered by Wet, 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 was number 1 15, 17 weeks or whatever it was. But going by the original was, I think, I reached 6th in the charts in the 60s.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
And it's a better version.
And it's a better version, yeah. Much better.
Very good song.
Okay, my number 7. I'm in the 60s now. 1966, a good year to be born. And this got to number 3, and why it didn't get to number 1? It's A River Deep, Mountain High. Ike and Tina Turner.
All right.
Yeah.
I love that song. Love it.
It does have that full-blown, full-spectrum production.
Yeah, it does. It's that proper wall of sound. I mean, when I saw her do this live, it was just blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in '84, and she was still knocking that tune out.
Oh, she had to, though. It's one of her most famous songs.
Yeah, still it with the same guts though as 1966 as well. Brilliant song.
I don't think that did well at all in America, though. I think it did much better in the UK.
Yeah, I think it is one of the best songs that did more over here than it did over there.
Oh, great choice. Well, my number 6 is a number 3 hit from 1964, and it's the Supremes, Where Did Our Love Go? I think it is magnificent, and I even love Soft Cell's version, which was on the B-side of Tainted Love. It's one of those brilliant Supreme singles, that the top 5 Supreme singles. Now, I know Ringo Starr did a version of it, and it's absolutely shocking, but it doesn't take away from how good the original is. And the follow-up to this, I think, was Baby Love, which got to number 1. So that paved the way for Baby Love. So Where Did Our Love Go? Number 3 and 64 is my number 6.
Can't knock the Supremes.
No, you can't. Good choice. Right, my number 6 is a lovely song by Nat King Cole, and that is Let There Be Love.
I don't know it offhand, but I know if I heard it, I would definitely know it.
You would know it.
I would know it because
I know it. Nat King Cole was my nan's favourites.
Right.
So growing up, Nat King Cole albums were always on in Nan. And you can't not dislike it if you've been brought up on it. You just, when you hear that song, it's just a lovely song, isn't it?
It is a lovely song. Yeah, it is.
Great choice. I think that's a fantastic.
No,
it never tires, does it, Ian? You can hear it years down the line. You can always appreciate it every time you hear it, can't you?
Yeah, that opening bar, and you just know it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Lovely piano work.
Yeah.
Shearing was doing the piano work, wasn't he?
Yes.
Okay.
My number 6. I'm going back to the 50s. And how didn't this get to number 1 from 1958? Britain's answer to Elvis Presley, Mr. Cliff Richard, and Move It.
Yeah, it's a good rock and roll number. It's one of his better rock and roll numbers. So it is. It's the one that put him on the map.
Yeah. When everyone likes to play that opening riff on the guitars.
Yeah.
One of the first riffs my brother learnt on the guitar at 7. It's the opening riff to Move It.
Was Summer Holiday? That must have been a number 1, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was. Cliff has had quite a few number 1s. I think about over 10 anyway. So
yeah, he's had a few.
And they were actually stretched different decades as you had number 1s in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
And the 2000s, isn't he?
Has he? I'm not too sure about 2000.
Did Millennium Prayer get to number 1?
Would that not have been in 1999 unless it stayed at the start of the next year?
I couldn't tell you without getting the book out and looking it up.
Well, getting them on top 5, 3 of these are massive songs, which should definitely have been number one. But my number 5 is the Bobby Fuller 4, and I Fought the Law. And the Clash have done a fantastic version, although the Clash's version is better live. But to me, it's originally a cricket song, the Buddy Holly Band. The guy from the Crickets wrote it, and it's on their solo or their group album. But Bobby Fuller 4 from 1966, and it only got to number 13. It's got a fantastic black and white video, which is just pure 60s with the girls dancing with their cowboy outfits on and the guns in their hand. It's really, really good. But I just love the song to bits, and it's my number 5, Bobby Fuller 4, I Fought the Law.
I'll put that video in the playlist.
Please do.
Yes, right. Yes, my top 5 is massive. Number 5 for me is the Kinks, Waterloo Sunset.
Okay, I won't say much about that.
Okay.
I will, because I forgot all about that one.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's the one I was referring to at the start.
Yeah.
I was torn between another one, but I thought I can't have 2 of the same artists in the list. So another one of theirs is in the Bubbling Unders.
Right, okay. No, very good choice. Very good choice.
Okay, my number 5 comes from 1969. Got to number 9 from the film The Graduate. And here's to you, Mrs. Robinson.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, good song.
Love that song. What can you say? It's just when they were at their best.
Yeah, that actually charted twice because it was part of an EP as well. And I think the EP actually went higher in the singles chart than the actual single. They both got top 10, I know that, but I actually have the EP version. But yeah, fantastic song. Really, really good.
Fantastic movie.
It is a great movie, so it is. Anne Bancroft looked gorgeous in it, but there you go. I can't remember the name of the girl, though. He was going out with. What's her name? The actress. I know who it is, but I just can't get the name. Well, my number 4 is from 1965, and a number 4 hit, and it's his biggest ever hit. That's Bob Dylan, Like a Rolling Stone. For me, that is one of the best songs, never mind singles, of the 1960s. It's absolutely brilliant. And the difference between Bob Dylan and, say, the Beatles or whatever it was, his lyrics. And the lyrics are scathing, which you never really got before in a single. And it's about 6 minutes long, which you never got at that time. Absolutely iconic track from the time it's available. So number 4 for me is Bob Dylan, Like a Rolling Stone.
Great track. You can't deny that, can you? It's a superb track.
Brilliant song. Right, my number 4. I didn't know where to place this. I wanted a Beach Boys number, and I couldn't get Good Vibrations in there because that made number 1. So I thought, well, what else do I really like, which didn't make number 1? So I thought about Don't Worry Baby by the Beach Boys.
Brilliant.
Just that introduction, the beat to it just sets the tone for the rest of the song, doesn't it? I think it's brilliant.
It's an absolutely fantastic song, so it is. To me, that's the start of the Beach Boys' credibility, really, because that's from one of their very early albums. And going on forward, Brian Wilson's songwriting really did improve, and I thought, Don't Worry Baby, it's one of the finest love songs ever. So it is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite ballady type tracks by the Beach Boys. Super.
It's a good music video as well, actually.
I haven't seen it
for the time, for the 60s. So it's very good.
Do you know that you were talking last week, Simon, about Brian Ferry?
Yeah.
Well, the first album, which you don't have, he does a version of that on his first album, These Foolish Things.
I picked that up last week.
It's a good version too.
It is. Yeah, it's a lot of good covers on there.
Okay, you'll like my number 4, Richard. From 1967, number 2 should have been number 1. It's Matthew and Son.
Cat Stevens.
Cat
Great
Stevens.
song.
Absolutely. I love that intro.
And it's very 60s though, with the bass.
Yeah.
Took to it for some reason. Never.
I used to love it that when Brian Matthew used to be on the radio, he used that as his when he come on.
Yeah. No, it's very, very catchy, working all day, all day, all day with the horns in the back. Really, really good. Excellent. Well, my number 3 is a song that failed to chart. Now, if you think that Brown Eyed Girl was a surprise not charting, this is even more so. And it's Simon and Garfunkel, The Sound of Silence. It was released in the UK and didn't chart. And the worst thing is that the Bachelors took it up and put it into the top 10. It's one of the best songs of the 60s ever. And it's the electrified version, which is the one I like. Whenever they took the song from Wednesday Morning 3 a.m. and added electrical instruments. Garfunkel had nothing to do with that, by the way. It was Tom Wilson or Bob Johnson or whoever it was. And it became a number 1 hit in America. And at that time, Simon and Garfunkel were really split up. But because it got to number 1, they came back to America because Paul Simon was at the time touring and working the clubs, actually. That was the start of the whole Simon and Garfunkel in the 60s. So The Sound of Silence, 1966, my number 3.
I've not ever heard of people that have covered it. I've never heard a bad cover of that song.
Yeah. Now try the Bachelors and you'll hear one.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Right, my number 3 could be one of the finest songs ever. Why is it 3? I can't even tell you. And that is Glenn Campbell's Wichita Lineman.
It's a very good song.
Brilliant song. One of the most underrated guitar players in the world.
I know, he's fantastic. So he is. I didn't know Prince was a good player, and then I saw him play. And then when people said Glenn Campbell's a brilliant player, I just laughed. And then I saw him play, and I thought, bloody hell. He is fantastic.
Yeah, I love that song. One of his best songs.
I remember we did a video, Ian, about number 1 albums or something it was in the 70s, our compilations, and I had the Glenn Campbell 20 Golden Greats on there. Really, really good album.
Excellent choice. Okay, my number 3 from 1962. Only got to number 6. It's from the Everly Brothers, and it's the beautiful Crying in the Rain.
It is a beautiful song.
Makes you, then Phil and Don, their harmonies on that are just perfect. And it was one of their later hits as well.
Yeah.
It should have been a number 1, but, number 6 towards what their end of their career, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't the end of their successful part of their career.
Yeah. But I just love that.
Great choice.
Great choice.
Well, my number 2 is another one of the girl bands, and the number 5 hit in 1963, and it's the Crystals' "Da Do Ron Ron." And if you want to do the hail and pace, without further ado, Ron, Ron. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and Three of a Kind did it as well, didn't they?
I just remember hail and pace did it. But it's a great, great track. It's one of those Phil Spector ones again. Just fantastic. And it should have been number 1.
Catchy, isn't it?
Really catchy. Dave Edmunds does a version of it as well, which sounds silly, him doing it, because it really should only be a girl group doing it.
Yeah.
So that's my number 2.
Yes, the song "Don't Worry, Baby" I think was a Spector song, which was passed on to the Beach Boys from another girl group. I can't quite remember who it was. But anyway, my top 2 are going to shock you. I'm a bit of a sucker for the 50s, especially some of the more lovey-dovey with numbers. So I went with "Friendly Persuasion" by Pat Boone.
Don't know.
You don't know it.
That was my mum's favourite Pat Boone song. I'm glad I'm so glad that's in there because that was Mum's favourite.
Spoken the Old English language.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, I'm chuffed. I'm chuffed at that one, Simon. Thank you. That's brilliant. I just love that.
It's a classic, Ian, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an absolute classic song.
And my mum loved it. Okay, my number 2. Now, you know I like my 60s instrumentals.
Mm-hmm.
This is from 1961, and this only got to number 6, and it's a Shadow song, and it's FBI.
Oh, I know it. Yeah.
I know
know.
as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Apache was a big hit, wasn't it? Apache.
That got to number 1, but
Yeah.
this didn't, and this is as good as Apache. This is
They all came out that year, didn't they? 61.
yeah. It's just a great song.
No, good choice.
Good choice.
Well, you know, my number 1 is the Kinks' Waterloo Sunset. Number 2 in 1967. It's just a magnificent track. It really is. It tells a story. It's really melodic. It's beautifully played. It's beautifully produced. There's not a bad thing you can say about that song.
No.
And it's from a wonderful album, Something Else. And how it didn't get to number 1, I do not know. Like, they have 3 number 1s, and they're all good number 1s, but none of them, I believe, match the standard of Waterloo Sunset. So it's been
I agree, and I don't blame you for putting that for number 1 because it's just a incredible song, isn't it?
Yeah, I've said this before. Every time I go on Waterloo Station, I just think of that song.
Yeah,
And I've been on Waterloo Station in Sunset, and it just.
I love the introduction.
Yes.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yes, fantastic. Well,
Right, my number 1. This will shock you. I went with a Paddy Page number, Old Cape Cod. Wow, yes.
I don't know. I do have an album of 50s material, and I know Paddy Page is on it, but it was an old album that my father had, so I must have a look and see if that's the same.
It's melodic. It's a lovely song. I'm not sure if Ian knows it, but
yeah, I do. I have got my grandparents were all into that.
Yeah.
I must have had the most liberal grandparents in the world because they listen to these sort of songs and that. So yeah, another out song that was always playing, in their house. So yeah, I know it. It's a nice song. I do like it very much. It's a lovely song. Okay, this one, my number 1 might be a bit predictable, but there is a reason. It's from 1968. Got to number 7, and this, with what else was going on in 68, this should have been a number 1 for Status Quo, and it's Ice in the Sun. Now, I prefer Ice in the Sun to Matchstick Men.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's catchy, it's proper psychedelic, and of course it's got, featuring on plectrum and strings, Marty Wall doing the old, I like ice in the stone, I'm out there, boing! That's actually Marty Wilde in the piano.
Right. I didn't know that.
I just think it's a better song. It's it's up there with like the Moo Fire Brigade and Flowers in the Rain. I just love Ice in the Sun.
I can't get over Pictures of Matchstick Men. That's just a phenomenal song.
Ice in the Sun is actually a Marty Wilde song, is it not?
I think he did write. Yeah, I think he wrote it as well. He was.
Yeah, not a bad choice. I would never have had it, but still. Whenever you say it's predictable, I thought he's going to go for Ice in the Sun.
No, I like Matchstick Men, but that's just, I think this is a.
Where did Matchstick Men chart? Do you know?
It's top 10 anyway. Yeah.
Top 10, number 8, it was in the same sort of area. I mean, that should have got higher as well.
Yeah.
I mean, both of them should have been number 1, to be quite honest.
That's when they're in their psychedelic era, wasn't it?
Era.
Yeah.
But I prefer Ice in the Sun. Well, there are some really different ones in there. There's some curveballs, certainly.
I should pick up the first album, I think.
The Status Quo one. It's a good album. The first two albums are very good.
Yeah.
Spare Parts is a very good album as well.
Yes, I did a short of the first. I've done a short of the first Quo album.
Yeah.
Went up yesterday, the day before.
It's the third one where they go all boogie. Mark Kelly's Greasy Spoon. So
anyway,
it's all downhill from there on.
Yep. Well, I'm going to make it 7 because I've actually written down 7. So I'm going to do 7. Give you some work to do. A number 8 hit in 1969 for Creedence Clearwater Revival and Proud Mary. Now, I always prefer the Creedence version to the Ike and Tina Turner version. Always prefer it. My only one from the 50s, and it's from 1959, and a number 2 hit, and it's the Everly Brothers, Till I Kissed You, which I think is an absolutely wonderful little track. One of those songs you really sing along to. 1967, and a number 6 hit for Procol Harum and Homburg, which was the follow-up to A Whiter Shade of Pale, and although not as good as, it's not far away. It's a fantastic track.
Yeah, it's still got great keyboards in it, isn't it?
Yes, it has, doesn't it? Brilliant. 1962, a song that didn't chart, and I think it was the debut single, I think, by Dionne Warwick, and it's called Don't Make Me Over, which I think is brilliant with fantastic backing vocals. And Petula Clark actually does a very good version of that. 1966, and a number 41 hit for The Who. And I think this is my favourite Who single, and it's The Kids Are All Right, which I think are really, really good. It's on their debut album. I think it was probably the 4th single taken off that album, which is why it didn't really chart. Or it was actually released after they changed labels. And the Brunswick label were then saying, right, we're going to capitalise, release that. And the next one is a number 2 hit from 1961. And it's Mr. Ackerbilk, Stranger on the Shore, with his clavinet, which I think is beautiful. Beautiful. And my last one is one of those crooners again, 1960, number 12 for Jim Reeves, and He'll Have to Go. And that would tend to be my drunken song. If I'm pissed, I will sing that. As you know, at the top of my voice, I absolutely love it. So those are my 7 bubbling unders.
Yeah, cool. Jim Reeves, one of my man's favourite singers as well.
I love Jim Reeves.
He was number 1 on when I was born.
Distant Drums. Mm-hmm.
Right, I better not race through these because Ian will have a job with the editing. So, my other Kinks number, of course, is Autumn Almanac.
Brilliant.
I could easily put it in the top of the list, but I didn't necessarily want to have 2 of the same. Again, another Buddy Holly number, True Love Ways.
Nice.
I wanted to put in the list. I went with a Bobby Vinton number, My Heart Belongs to Only You, which is an old song, which was redone by Bobby Vinton in the 60s, I believe. I also went with a Bobby V number, Please Don't Ask About Barbara. Petula Clark, Sailor, could have been in there.
Sailor.
I
think Sailor got to number 1. Check that one.
don't think it did.
Well, I think it did.
It's the public unders anyway, so.
Well, when I do the editing, I will put who was right.
Right.
Okay. I did look up. It didn't say it made number 1, so.
Well, maybe I'm mistaken then. Sorry.
Also, a 50s numbers from the Hilltoppers. P.S. I Love You.
Is that the Lennon McCartney song?
No, it's different. Very different.
It's very, very different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, that's my 6.
There's some good ones in there. From Bobby Vinton and Bobby. Yeah.
You know your 50s and 60s, Simon. You really know your stuff.
I do.
He does. Yes. Okay, my first one comes from 1957. Number 3 for Little Richard and Long Tall Sally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of
Oh,
the best.
absolutely classic. 1959, a number 2 for Lonnie Donegan and the Battle of New Orleans.
Yeah, Lonnie Donegan, yes.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a bit of skiffle.
Okay, 1960, number 8, another instrumental from the States, The Ventures and Walk Don't Run.
Don't know it. No, don't know it.
Okay, I've gone for a crooner as well. It's probably my favourite song by this guy. Number 9 in 1958, a Perry Como number. Catch a falling
Right.
star around, put it in a pocket.
It's not a bad little song.
Okay, we got a silly one. From 1956, we got to number 3. And it's about tucking in your mum, by your mum, when she was 93.
God.
It's the Ying Tong song by the...
Oh, yeah, the Goon Show.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
You
very
can't
good.
have a bit of goons in there.
yeah.
Oh,
Peace
well,
back to Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm like that's for Christmas. I've actually got that single.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
And my last one is from 1963, number 10. Billy Davis. Tell him, tell him right now. Then I've got a heavy metal version of that.
That's the one that Hello had a hit with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Glitter Band did it as well.
Yeah, it's Glitter Band of Gunny.
Yeah.
I love that song. It's a proper sort of. It's
And
near enough a Wall of Sound song without being a Wall of Sound song, isn't it? It's got a really good sound on it, and I love that song. One of my favourite songs from 1960.
Good try.
Observationally, no one said any Beatle numbers.
No.
No
That's
Beatles.
good. I'll tell you what, a lot of people would have Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane, but to me, I'm going to get killed for this. I prefer Please Release Me, Let Me Go. By Ian Comforting. I love that song, I really do. So
Well,
I just
we've
say
done-
quiet whenever they mention that.
Well, we've done all the decades now. We're going to have a think about what we're going to do at some stage. I know Richard and I have got one. We don't know what we're calling it yet for fortnight, but it's going to be songs that are just less than 2 minutes.
They're just tight enough.
Yeah.
Songs from the 30s and 40s.
So yeah, thank you very much, chaps, for being patient with me for last week. But there we go. But I really enjoyed this. So it just leaves one thing to say is see how Richard does with this. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from them.
Okay, thank you very much for watching. See you all again soon. Bye for now.
Yeah.
All right.